This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, fine. So, as I said again, the topic for today is on the trends that we are observing from a performance testing and engineering perspective. Um, be it is last year or this year, what are the various trends that we are witnessing, right? Most of us, I believe. Hey guys, able to hear me? Can just any of you just put it a chat?
Yes,
If you're
very
able to
much.
hear me.
We can hear you. We
Yeah.
can hear you.
Oh, oh, great. Thank you. So I believe most of the folks who have joined this call might be a performance tester or an engineer with various level of experience, right? So most of us who are in performance testing or engineering, we have been mostly would be focusing on the non-functional requirements, doing the scripting for the business flow using JMeter or load runner or any of the performance testing tools, and then doing the executions, be it the load or stress or endurance, analyzing those results from a testing perspective, from an engineering perspective, and then providing your observations and detailed report. This is the typical uh, activities that we perform. Depending upon your experience and your role, you might be doing all these things end to end, or if you are uh, uh, very with less experience, or depending upon your role, you might be just doing the scripting, or sometimes you might be just focusing on the, engineering analysis, right? But these are the end-to-end activities that we as a performance tester or engineer used to do, right? From here, if you wanted to upskill or cross skill, right? What are the best bet when it comes to spending your quality time in learning new technologies or new area of performance, right? Uh, because it is very important for us to learn things that are relevant today for today's market or for the immediate future, right? So it has to, so both your learning has to correlate or has to go hand in hand with the trends that we are seeing in the market, either from the expectation from the project team or from the job market. So whatever I've listed in the right hand side, right, those are the best bit when it comes to our upskilling. I would probably split this into two area, probably even three areas, right? The top two, in the top, whatever I mentioned, right? The performance testing in the cloud and DevOps, uh, that is one aspect. The bottom, if you see, it is more of a SDET or full stack QA, and the middle one is more of a site reliability engineering. Okay, so the bottom two are more of um, expanding your knowledge outside of your performance. So it is more about uh, it's not upskilling, it's more about cross skilling, right? You're going to learn something different from performance. Those are the SDET and full stack QA. The cloud and DevOps are more about the way the projects are operated, nothing to do with performance as such, but it is more about the project need, your application need, your application getting more and more moved to cloud, either a hybrid or a completely native cloud. Second is again, DevOps is again a process, right? The way your projects are going to be delivered in a agile DevOps way. So those two are not specifically a performance specific or performance driven aspect, but how we will see how you can upskill you to be more relevant in the cloud projects or to be more relevant in the DevOps project. The middle one is the site reliability is something. extension to the performance testing or engineering. It can cut across cloud, it can be part of the DevOps project, whatever it is. But site reliability is SRE, right? SRE is something very buzzword. People misuse it. Just they group everything into one role called SRE. If you go and look into the some of the job description, you will see testing, engineering, everything put together. They want a one single person who can do everything, and they name it as SRE. But earlier, the SRE term is something very specific to your prediction monitoring or resiliency kind of work. That is what they used to call it as an SRE. In most of the advanced technology companies, you would see SRE role earlier, but now uh, it is they're trying to coin this word and then have a person who can do everything. Okay, and that is going to evolve. That is going to keep changing. But that is also one of the area where you can strengthen your performance skill set, move towards the SRE. Okay, so all these are different flavors. As I mentioned, cloud and DevOps are more from a project specific ask, or the way the project are going to get delivered. The SDET and full stack QA are more about your cross skilling, um, something away from performance, and site reliability is extension to your performance testing uh, or performance engineering skill set. Okay, so why full stack QA? Why is that? Okay, so in many of the agile projects, right? Um, you might have small um, teams who will take care of a particular capability or particular modules, right? And each of these teams will have a say two developers, one or two QA. So it's going to be very small sized teams. Again, it varies depending upon the organization, depending upon the application size. But the place where you have a very small team and the project team might not have budget to accommodate one functional tester, one automation tester, one security tester, one performance tester. Okay, so it is good if you are passionate in learning other uh, testing engineering skill set. um, Definitely it is worth to learn any of the other testing aspect, especially the automation testing, functional automation, or security testing, right? Security testing, again, it's a very niche, and it needs a SME specialization for sure. But your main primary role is going to be still performance, and you're going to have the additional knowledge as a automation tester or security tester, right? You cannot go and call you as a immediately as a automation tester or a security tester. That's not going to happen immediately. It's going to take a year, 2, 3, 4, whatever it could be. But if there are only one automation tester and one performance tester, in some of the sprints, you might have more work in creating automation testing suits compared to performance suits. And similarly, in few sprints, there might be a lot of security testing has to be needed. There might be still a security SME will be there, but the expectation would be how you, as a performance tester, can contribute towards supporting the automation tester or security tester. That is where the full stack UA will come into picture. At least initially, you're not going to completely own automation testing or completely own security testing. No, your primary job is to do a performance testing. But additionally, if you can support 20% of their work, then it's going to be a real benefit when you're going to sell yourself in the market, whether internally or in the external market, right? So Selenium for automation testing, and similarly your security testing of either with the dynamic application security testing or penetration testing, right? So it will definitely going to be a good skill set to pick, either automation testing or security testing. Again, you're not going to become an expert there. You're going to support the team. And Selenium, again, it's not going to be too difficult for you to get started with, right? There are going to be a lot of good handbooks, a lot of videos, tutorial available wherever you're going to search. It's a very common um, automation testing tool, so you will find a lot of support. Okay. And it's not going to take time for you to pick it up. Maybe to go get into advanced, it might take time, experience to gain more knowledge. But for you to get started, again, it's one more scripting language, right? If you have done load on a true client, pretty much same. It works on the UI level, recording and replaying. Okay, so full stack QA, it's going to be really um, interesting. Also, it is going to be practically, you will be able to um, use it, and you will be able to benefit it for sure. Whenever you're going to call in your resume, if you're going to say that you are an SME in performance testing, you also know Selenium in Java, or Selenium using Java, you know automation testing concepts, definitely people will get attracted. Okay. And second is SZ. SZ is something I would say, if you are good in programming language, right? Then if you're passionate towards analysis, debugging the code, uh, then I think SZ would be a good choice. Definitely a very useful one. But unlike full stack QA, if you already don't have a development knowledge or appetite for debugging the code, then you might, you might not, you should not be, I would say you should not go and take this up, because it's going to take time, right? If you are good in any of the programming language, then again the same kind of concept or situation, right? Where you have a small team, 2-3 developers, a couple of testers. How can you support the development team, either debugging the defects, or probably taking a few small enhancements, right? So those aspects you can support development team, if at all you have a skill set of any of the programming language, be it this a Java or a Python, Node.js, whatever it is, right? If you are good, then I think SZ is also definitely a area where you would be able to position yourself in the agile teams. Okay, so both these are out of your comfort zone, out of your performance domain. But again, your core is going to be performance, and add-on is going to be your these additional skill set. Now, though it is again good to cross skill, it is always good to expand your knowledge, the existing skill set, right? We call it as a T-shaped skill set. If you look into the T shape, you have a vertical bar, you have a horizontal bar, right? Vertical bar is going to be your depth, how much depth of knowledge you have in a particular area, which is nothing but our performance testing and engineering. So it is always good to have a depth of knowledge in your core. And then the horizontal line is going to be your breadth of various knowledge. It could be automation testing, it could be a security testing, it could be a development skill set. So it is good to have all those breadth. That doesn't need a depth, any of those areas. But performance being your core, you should be having a depth of knowledge in performance area, which means SRE is an extension to the performance testing or an engineering. And you should be able to, at some point of time, you should be able to go and expand your knowledge on this. As I said, SRE, there are a lot of definition for it from a job description perspective, but it is more and more to do with how how you can make sure that your application is reliable in production, right? So in and all these 5 things what I have mentioned, it could be part of your SRE, or you might be already doing it under a different name. Okay, your end user experience, synthetic monitoring, real user monitoring, your app monitoring, and resiliency, right? So the first one, end user experience, uh, it's more towards your client side analysis, client side profiling, be it as a mobile app or your web app, making sure your end user experience is validated with respect to response time, page size, number of requests, optimizing all these factors to make sure that your end user is going to be happy with your performance, right? So the end user experience is going to be one of the key factor when it comes to your site reliability. It includes client-side profiling, client-side testing, both for your mobile as well as for your browser-based application. Synthetic monitoring and real user monitoring are from a production monitoring. Um, so even though you're going to do testing engineering, still there are going to be problem that is going to be there in production. How proactively we can um, catch those performance issue using synthetic scripts like Selenium or JMeter scripts before even your end users are going to um, get impacted, right? So there are going to be set of scripts that is going to run every 15 minutes, every 10 minutes, 5 minutes in production with a single user, like 24/7. Those scripts will get executed. There are tools like AppDynamics, tools like Dynatrace, a lot of tools available to do the synthetic monitoring. Okay, so our role as a performance tester or engineer from a synthetic monitoring perspective is to go and create those synthetic scripts using Selenium or using JMeter, or within Dynatrace and AppDynamics there are tools available to do a record and replay. Okay, and then configure it against different locations, different network. All these things are all part of the synthetic monitoring. And next is going to be your real user monitoring. So real user monitoring, there are 2 use cases for this. One is for the business to know um, how the real users are using their application, right? Say you are opening your Amazon.com from your mobile, your desktop, all this information, who has connected Amazon.com, which location they have connected, which network they are using it, which device they are using it, is it iOS or Android? All these things will come from a real user's device to the tool, so that business can analyze the usage of the app, and we as a performance testers or engineer can also look into the response time of the each page, how much time they have spent in each page to derive our NFRs. Especially the real user monitoring will help us to derive our NFRs. If you remember, in your runtime settings, you will configure the browser type, the device type, the location of your load generators, right? All these things can be captured from a real user monitoring tool. So NFR, non-functional requirements, can be refined, can be obtained from these real user monitoring tools. So we as a performance engineer should be able to use the RUM tools. So that is going to be one of the skill set as part of this SRE. And resiliency is the most important aspect of this SRE, which was the core. Earlier SREs are the one who used to do the resiliency testing. You might have heard about chaos engineering, chaos testing, right? Chaos testing is like what happens when something, most weird things are going to happen, when extreme conditions are going to happen, like when your CPU is going to go over 95%, when the hard disk is going to get crashed, when one of the downstream service is going to get crashed, what will happen to my end user experience? how gracefully my application is going to handle all these failures. During testing, right, you will not be able to create those scenarios. You go and do testing for say 1,000 users, make sure that everything is good. You say app is good, but uh, all of a sudden in production, if a database is going to get crashed, if your network failure is going to happen, when a load balancer is going to fail. So anticipating those chaos, creating those chaos, and then see how your application is going to handled, right? That is the resiliency is all about. So it will involve tool, it will involve techniques, it will involve deep knowledge in the architecture to know, anticipate where the failures can happen. In a very huge enterprise like an architecture, there will be a lot of failure points. So you should be good in, as an architect, you should be good in analyzing those architecture and then identifying the failure points, then creating the test cases to create chaos and make use of the tools, technology to create those extreme condition, and then uh, uh, evaluate how your performance is getting impacted during the chaos, how fast your application is recovering. All these things are going to be part of your resiliency, right? So as part of your upskilling, all these aspects, the client-side testing, client-side profiling, synthetic monitoring, synthetic testing, real user monitoring, resiliency, all these things you should be able to pick up
Hi, Satish.
these areas. Yeah, hi
Satish,
here.
sorry to interrupt. I'm really sorry to interrupt for that. As you said right now about that, you just see we are just about the chaos engineering, okay, and you are just finding out some scenarios. In some cases, your DB is going to crash or something like that, right? Yes, Satish, can you
Yeah,
hear me? Yeah. See, in that case, your secondary system is going to help you out on in that particular case or not?
ideally,
If
yes.
yes, means by using such type of testing, if you are going to use your secondary system, because think about it, your primary system is going to shut down or getting failure or something like it happen. In that case, there is an alternative way that we are going to use that secondary system going to be up and down.
Ideally, yes, correct. That is how it should happen, right?
Okay.
You with either it's a database, it can go and use the secondary system, or say cloud, when one of the applications are going to get down, auto cloud auto scaling is going to switched on, or it is going to provide you an additional server, right? All these things has to happen, but is it going to happen, or during the switchover from a primary to secondary, from one data center to another data center, from one app server to another app server, when the switching over is going to happen, it might happen within 30 seconds, it can happen within 1 minute, it can happen within 2 minutes. You never know how the secondary system is going to take effect, right? So during that time, you will have a performance impact. So testing that is very important. So to when you do a normal testing, this situation might not even happen, right? You run a 10,000 user test, everything is fine, and you would say that your application is all good, you will go and certify it. But creating those situations where one database is going to down, is it going to get connected to alternate database systems, or if one of the app server is going to get crashed, whether this auto scaling is going to provide you another app server. If it is going to provide, how fast your app is going to get deployed, and it is going to come into a load balancer. That time, is it going to be 1 minute, 2 minute, and those 2 minutes, how many errors you're going to see it in the load runner, or what is the spike of response time, right? Because those 2 minutes, it could be 1 minute, or it could be 5 minutes, or it could be even 10 minutes. That is what, from a resiliency perspective, you're going to create the chaos. First of all, you're going to identify the failure points. You're going to then create those chaos, and then during the chaos, you're going to observe your testing results. You're going to run a test, say 8 hours, 10 hours, and then create those chaos in between. And during that chaos, you have to make sure that your second system is going to get connected properly, how fast is going to get connected, and what is the impact to the response time. That is the part of your resiliency testing.
Right, Satish. Thank you.
You're welcome. Sure. So I think since you brought up this question, right? From a resiliency perspective, again, resiliency or from a cloud, right? Especially on the when it comes to cloud performance, um, how different it is going to be. You be going to create scripts, you're going to do execution, you're going to do analysis. Everything is going to be pretty much same, be it as a cloud-based application or your data center-based application. Right? A lot of places, the myth around cloud performances, since the application is there in the cloud, why should I do a performance testing? Because cloud is going to make sure that my application is going to scale. Yes, application is going to scale. It can provide you 5 missions, 10 missions on the fly, so that your end users are not going to get impacted. But if the performance testing or engineering is not done, then your application is not going to get optimized. Instead of using 2 missions, you're going to use 10 missions. So, which means you're going to spend more and more money, give more and more money to the cloud vendor. Your performance testing is not done, or performance engineering is not going to be done properly, right? So, whenever a project manager or your account, whoever is going to handle these projects, tell you that why performance testing is needed, because a cloud will take care. Cloud will take care of only renting out you missions. If your CPU is more, memory is more, yes, it is going to give you 2 more missions, 5 more missions. It will take care of that, but it is going to also involve cost, right? So it's very important to educate the project managers that yes, cloud is going to take care of the scalability, but if your testing engineering is not done, you're going to pay more and more money towards the cloud. So that is one of the myths. And second, um, on top of our regular activity, right? Yes, test your NFRs, your scripting, your execution, analysis, all these things are going to be same. In addition to that, these resiliency and testing out this auto scaling, right? Auto scaling is a main aspect of scalability in cloud. So you will say that I need 2 missions as a minimum. You also will tell that I need 10 missions as a maximum. So initially, the cloud will give you 2 missions. When the load is more, CPU is more, memory is more, it might give it will go and give you third mission, fourth mission, fifth mission. But how fast it is going to give the third mission? How fast is going to give the fourth mission? What's the threshold for increasing the mission? Is it 70% CPU or 80% CPU? Those are the things you might have to configure, test it, and prove it. Right. So those are the additional thing you might need to do it from a cloud perspective. So it is not when application is going to move to production in cloud, it's not going to reduce the work. In fact, it is going to give you more and more responsibility, more and more testing scenarios when you are going to test the applications in the cloud, right? So going back to our original topic, right? So the SRE is an extension to your performance testing or engineering. So you can definitely go and learn synthetic monitoring, real user monitoring, end user experience, application monitoring, and the resiliency. If you're not doing it today, if you're not doing it more proper way, definitely can pick all these areas, not everything together one by one. You can pick it up so that you can call yourself as an SRE in your resume. If you go and say, I know testing, I know load runner, I know scripting, I know execution, on top of that, you're going to say, you know client-side profiling or end-user experience, you know synthetic monitoring, you have used the RUM tools, you have done very good exhaustive analysis using AppDynamics or Dynatrace app monitoring. You also know the concepts about resiliency, auto-scaling, right? It is definitely going to add more and more value to your resumes or your skill set. Okay. So the other two things are more project driven, application driven. It is not a specific, I would say, skill set. See, cloud architects, DevOps engineer, cloud engineer, those roles are meant for maintaining the cloud apps, cloud infra, setting up the DevOps tools, DevOps pipeline. We are not going to be a DevOps engineer. We are not going to be a cloud architect. Okay, those are all totally a different role or a skill set. But we as a performance testers are going to be there in the cloud project. We are going to be there in the DevOps project. Okay, so in that aspect, as I was mentioning about cloud, right? Um, you should be able to at least know. See, in your organization, if you already know that the applications are in AWS or in Azure or in GCP, right? And if you know that definitely next 2 to 3 years you're going to be there in the same organization or the same project, or you might also move to other project or other organization, but at least to start with, in your current organization, current project, if AWS is there, definitely it is good to go and get a basic certification in AWS or Azure or GCP. It will help you to get used to the terminologies, get used to the, when you go and talk to the cloud team, cloud architects, cloud infra team, it won't be completely a black box, right? You should be able to understand what they speak about when they are going to talk about the EC2 instances, when they are going to talk about some of the roles, they're going to talk about the cloud configurations, right? Those terminologies, it should not be completely new for you. For that perspective, definitely any of these cloud Amazon or Azure or GCP, it is good to do a basic certification for sure. That will help you to get comfortable when you're going to handle the cloud project. You're not going to be a cloud architect. You're not going to maintain the cloud infra, but your applications are going to be hosted in cloud, and you're going to use cloud missions for load generators. You might get access to the cloud watch kind of a tool, Azure monitor. All these things are all services available within the cloud, right? You're going to use the monitoring tools like CloudWatch. So those basic certification will help you to understand what is there in those cloud services. So definitely you can for sure go and pick one of the basic certification and do it in any of these Azure or Microsoft or AWS services. That will definitely help you more and more confident in your project, and it also definitely add value to your resume. Similarly for DevOps as well, you're not going to be DevOps engineer, but in wherever you go, either your performance testing going to be there in pipeline or not, but definitely there will be more and more questions, more and more discussions happening how to bring performance testing into the pipeline, automated pipeline, into a DevOps. Most of the deployments, most of the builds are happening in pipeline. Functional automation, smoke test also happens in pipeline. But 7 out of 10 projects, you will not see performance testing in the pipeline because of a lot of other reasons. Okay, because our performance testing is going to take time. It's not a 10 minutes, 20 minutes. It's going to take 1 hour, 2 hour. You have test data dependency. You have environmental dependencies. You have a lot of downstream services dependencies are there. So because of which we might not be able to completely be there in pipeline. But you should be aware of what is Jenkins, what are the various plugins available in Jenkins, how to integrate JMeter with Jenkins, load runner with Jenkins, performance center with Jenkins, what are the various plugins available for all these performance testing tools, what are the best practices to be followed in terms of maintaining those regression suits. So that basic level of knowledge, one, um, definitely Jenkins. You should be able to use the Jenkins, create jobs, create pipelines, um, integrate JMeter, integrate load runner. That basic level is very, very important to start with, so that you can do wherever they ask you to do a POC of running your JMeter scripts in Jenkins or load runner scripts in Jenkins. You should be able to go and take it up and do it. Right? That is the step one. Step two, step three, the advanced. There's nothing called advanced at all. Advanced is more about when you start using this in your project, you will learn more and more advanced way. There's nothing where you can take a course from somewhere or go to the YouTube or go to the Google. You will not find something that will require for you to do advanced learning on this. No, basic things are knowing about Jenkins, knowing about plugins, getting those things, tools integrated. That is minimum thing that you should be able to go and do it practically. Once you do it on a need basis, you can go and implement that, right? Again, I'm talking from a person who is going to recruit you for a project internally or externally. If you go and talk about saying, I know Jenkins, I have done JMeter integration, I know how to use the plugins, I know how to create a pipeline, I know how to integrate different tools, I have used Jenkins, that is enough for you to be part of this DevOps journey. Because every project, every team, every organization, the DevOps process is completely different. We cannot go and learn all the Azure DevOps, or you cannot go and learn the TeamCity. There are a lot of DevOps tools. To start with, you just start with one basic tool, which is Jenkins, which is very popular. Try to understand what are the plugins. Do it practically. Okay. Very easy. Go to YouTube. You will get a lot of material around this. You can learn it easily. Okay. So this cloud and DevOps, something will go along with your project, will help you to deliver project in a very good way, very confident in what you're doing it, because everywhere you're going to have cloud, you're going to have DevOps. So basic certification in cloud, get used to the CloudWatch kind of a tool, Azure Monitor kind of a tool, get used to those terminologies. For that, certification will help. And DevOps, again, Jenkins, plugins, integration of JMeter, load runner, that is what is going to be basics about DevOps for performance tester. Those two are going to be part and part of your projects. SRE is an extension to your performance testing and engineering. SDET and full stack QA is more about cross-skilling, right? Depending upon your passion, depending upon your skill set, your strength, you can pick any of these areas, right? From Isha perspective, I would say pretty much we have codes for all these things, be cloud performance engineering, or DevOps, or site reliability engineering, Selenium for performance, very specifically Selenium not for automation, right? Selenium for performance, how a performance tester can learn Selenium. Isha has a very customized course for that. End user experience, synthetic monitoring, real user monitoring, app monitoring, resiliency, for DevOps. So all these things, we pretty much in Asia, there are experienced trainer who cover all these topics, very tailored course for each and everything. There are short-term courses, 5, 6, 7, 8-hour courses are available. And when it comes to performance engineering, we also have 20, 25 hours of course available for a proper engineering as well, right? So it's very important to strengthen your basics, which is going to be a testing and engineering, and expand knowledge in all these new area, be it cloud or DevOps or site reliability or full stack QA or SDET, right? So always split your learning, like 50% of effort in learning you put into strengthening your basics, which is going to be testing, from testing towards engineering, and then 50% of the effort in learning your new area. You can either pick up the cloud or DevOps or your Selenium. So that is how in the market, you have to have this kind of mixed skill set. So you have to keep strengthening your basics and then expanding your knowledge in a new area slowly. And that will help you to put yourself very effectively, both for your internal and external jobs. Just take a pause here. If you have any questions, feel free to, probably if you have any other point of view, if you think that something else is trending, if you wanted to share, yeah, it's an open forum, you can also pitch in.
Okay. Hi Satish, Shantanu here. I joined a bit late, like half an hour late. So I don't know like what all points have I missed. But I have this question, like in the training. Can I ask question about the training, the upcoming training?
Go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So in the training, like do we have this option of the recorded videos, so that after the training we can refer the videos?
All the videos, all the trainings, right? The video recording will be available probably after a day. If a session is happening today, by today evening or tomorrow morning, you will have a recorded video, and that video will be available forever. There's no time constraint. So if there are 12 hours of session, all the 12 hours of video will be available for your access. There's no time limit at all.
Okay. Okay. And like for how many days this training is going to happen? Like
See,
if
there are a lot of trainings are planned, right? To say, for example, performance engineering. There is a session which I'm going to take. Will start from Tuesday, coming Tuesday. So the planned hours are between 20, 22, 24, depending upon the way things are going to happen. The questions. Anywhere between 20 to 25 hours of session duration. So if you're going to start it from Tuesday, it will go till end of February.
Okay, so daily 1 hour training.
Daily 1 hour. Yeah, that's correct. Monday to Friday.
Okay.
Monday to Friday. And in some cases, it might happen over the weekend as well to catch up some time if everybody is available. Otherwise, Monday to Friday. Correct.
Okay, okay, so in the training, like, do we have to do some sort of hands-on, like something is there for, like we can try from our side?
Yeah. So during, I'll cover more and more on that on Tuesday during the demo. But yes, it won't be doing that 1 hour, right? 1 hour will be where I will do the hands-on. I will explain the concepts. I'll also use the application tools to create problems, to do a profiling, to do all the engineering activity. The same thing will be shared with you in Google Drive. The sample, the actual code, application, the WAR files, tools, everything will be provided in the Google Drive, which you can actually go and practice on your own. What I'm doing in a session, you'll be able to replicate that in your laptop on your own.
Okay, perfect. Okay, because most of the time it's about the tool and that sort of access. So whatever you're going to use, so we can also use like in our own personal machine.
Yeah. So most of the tools are going to be open source tools. Even the commercial tools like even AppDynamics, right, JProfiler, you will be able to get a trial licenses for 15 days, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. So which means pretty much you can. I don't have any licenses at all, right? But yes, which means you will be able to use the open source tool. You'll be able to use a commercial tool with the trial licenses which they provide.
Okay, got it. Okay, I had these questions. Thank you.
Sure.
Hi, Satish.
Yeah,
Hello.
go ahead.
Yeah. So I have seen the Isha Training website where you mentioned about training courses related to the performance engineering. When I go through that, I got to know that okay, so we are going to talk about all the engineering side, JVM tuning, right? All kind of things, taking a thread dump, heap dump, all the things. That is one part area I'm going to talk about specific to the performance engineering. Second thing you are talking about, second training you are talking about the perform testing on cloud. So I have few questions on that. So when you are doing on the uh, cloud performance engineering, so you are going to teach about the strategy and also are you going to talk about some the license based tools or uh, how it could be?
Okay. So I would say to get a better understanding, right? You
Yeah,
can attend the demos for every new batch. First
got it.
2 days
Yeah,
or 3 days,
yeah,
you will get to know the actual content of what you're going to take. For example, for performance engineering, which we are going to start on this Tuesday, if you
yeah.
attend the demo, I'll cover the complete session
No,
details
anyway,
about what
so
all topic you.
yeah, correct. I am aiming for that. Okay,
Okay,
so
sure.
yeah, no issues. Whatever you are saying is perfect because until unless we don't attend demo, we do not know what is going to happen. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
If I say answer it now, I think it will be very
Yeah,
big.
correct.
So
Got it. And one more
Oh,
thing is, so I am using a mesh. I have two kind of laptops. One is the Apple, another one is the Windows, and another one is the Unix. So which one do you prefer to install all these kind of applications when I'm in the training? Which OS you
ideally,
want us?
Windows and Linux. Windows you can use it for sure. If you are good in Linux, use the Linux. Obviously, all these software tools are compatible with Linux as well for sure.
Yeah,
But more from your comfortness, I will use definitely the Windows while laptop, and I would recommend you to also use a Windows. But if you prefer to use Linux also, you can just definitely try it out.
sure.
But Windows is
Yeah.
a preferred one.
Okay. I think I can use the Windows better. Yeah.
Sure, sure, sure.
Hi,
And the
Satish.
last
Please.
questions. And the training will be in 5 days a week or 7 days a week?
Yeah, mostly, yeah, it will be Monday to Friday. If in
Monday
case
to
we want to
Friday.
catch up,
Oh,
if there are any uh, holidays or unplanned off in the weekdays, we might have it on Saturday, depending upon once if everybody agrees to have it on the Saturday. Always Monday to Friday.
sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, Satish.
Yeah, hi, go ahead. Hi.
Satish, I'm just asking a quick question to you, which is more practical. As we saw many performance testers or engineers facing such type questions, just I want to know about your approach. See, if whenever you are going to do any type of testing, suppose in that load testing AI, and you are going to observe that your response time is going to be more. In that case, what will be your first approach to see as a performance tester to find out the issue on that?
So your statement is response time is high, is it?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, okay. So you run a test, and then while you running a test, right, you will observe, right, say a login is taking more time, or a particular transaction is taking more time. Um,
Not like that. Your response time is going to be more. You are just getting
yeah,
some high response time. Please.
correct, correct. Yes, yes. So rather than doing this analysis after the test, right, you should start it during the test itself. When you see high response time for any transactions, it's very good to go and do a manual traversal of your application during that time from any of the other load generators which are free, and see whether the same kind of a behavior you're observing it manually also. That will ensure that there is no ambiguity on scripts or test data, and developers cannot come and say that there's no problem in the application, or maybe it is the scripts or test data, right? So first thing, make sure that yes, you could able to repeat that same problem manually also. Okay, then you can confidently go and do the further analysis. So once you have done that, then you can probably go, if you have an APM tool, AppDynamics or Dynatrace or New Relic, obviously you can go to those monitoring tool and just figure it out whether the same kind of a response time is observed from the server side also. Depending upon, yes, it is same, or if it is not, if the AppDynamics says that response times are very fast, then it could be a probably it might be a latency problem between your load generators and your app servers. So check for network latency. If the problem is with the server only, then your AppDynamics Dynatrace will be able to go troubleshoot a particular problem, either it is a method level problem, or is it a problem with your third party, or is it a problem with the downstream services, a database. If it is a database, then probably checking out your AWS reports. So that from a troubleshooting perspective, and also you should have, say there are three components, four components, right? You might have a middleware MQ, you might have a Kafka, you might have another microservices with Java application. So you should know how the flow from top to bottom happens, and then for each layer, you should be able to know, okay, my response time is 10 in load runner. Component one might have taken only 1 second. So where is the bottleneck? Is it a bottleneck in my Kafka? It is a bottleneck in my MQ, or it is there in the microservices. So once you have a APM tool configured in all these components, that traceability you will be able to get it easily. So the troubleshooting, you should know, first of all, you should know your entire architecture, what are the components involved, whether you have right monitoring tools, and then right from your during a test, manually testing out that response time, and then network latency, and then troubleshooting the individual components. So that is the iterative uh, thing that you will do it from a troubleshooting perspective. There is no single
Yeah,
answer to that. Depending upon complexity of the architecture, your troubleshooting is going to vary accordingly.
right, because you know that most of the customer they are not providing any APM tools, and you have only load runners, and you are just going to do your test. That is very difficult. If the first approach that we can say that by using a single user during the type of test, we are going to see which request or which component is taking more time on that. And another way is that by using that time to first byte buffer graph, from there we are going to find out that what is the network time and what is the server time that we are. But which server is taking more time without APM tool, that is very difficult to find out, right, Satish?
Very very difficult, but in those project, right, if once we know that yes, there's a problem with the server, application code is having a problem and they don't have an APM tool, then you have to work with developers, ask the developer to add some logs, add some timers so that it can print those method time in the log. Those are the traditional way we used to do it even earlier. Even now, not all applications are going to have APM tool. You can still somebody has to troubleshoot it, right? Double developer, for them to fix it, they also have to know which method is taking more time. So during the execution, you can ask the developer to add those logs, definitely, to so that you would get the method level response time. Otherwise, yeah, it is going to be not possible at all to pinpoint the problem or debug the problem. APM will definitely help. APM tool will help. If the APM tool is not there, you have to go back to the traditional way of adding the loggers to get the method response time.
Yes, Satish, that is the truth. That is the alternative of what you have shared with us right now. The developers they are just going to enable the time so that we can find out that particular timing in the logs. That the alternative we can do without APM tool.
Correct. Yeah, entry point, and exit point, right? There are 5, 6 different components available. So individual component developers can log when the request comes in to their system when it responds back. So individual if they have those logging, then at least we will know, okay, third component is where the time is most spent for this login. That is how it is difficult. It is going to time taking, but over the time, you and developer will be able to get this done in a more proper way.
Right, Satish. Thank you. In that case, we need to be enable the timer in the log file.
Correct. That's correct.
Right.
The developers has to
Right.
explain timers.
Right. Thank you, Satish.
Hey, hi Satish.
Hi.
Spandana here. May I know what are the prerequisites for this course? I mean, performance engineering. As I'm new to software industry, so can I know like what are the prerequisites I should learn for this?
So there is no specific prerequisite. If you have basic knowledge about performance, that should be good enough. When you say software engineering, if you're new to software engineering itself, maybe I might not be able to answer it immediately. You can just drop me a message. I need to understand what is your background, how much of experience you have. Otherwise, if you're very new to software engineering itself, or you're new to performance testing also.
Yes. But I'm from computers background, like my graduation and post graduation both are from computers. So I have teaching experience in testing and all. So yeah, but I
Okay,
don't have.
But currently you're working for a performance testing project, or you're looking to get into the performance testing projects.
Currently, I'm working for a performance project. I'm into performance testing project. So, but I have recently joined. So, yeah.
Okay. Okay. See, to be honest, if you since you're new to performance testing, it is good to strengthen your performance testing knowledge, um, and then get into performance engineering. So, but I wanted to understand what exactly you're doing in performance testing, how good you're, right? Maybe we can connect offline. You can just drop me a message. We can connect. You can also attend the Tuesday demo. But to advise you, I would need more details so that we don't unnecessarily spend time on something which is not required right away for you. So
Yeah.
I'll connect with you offline.
Yeah. Can you share your number? Like to which number I can contact?
Are you there in that WhatsApp group? The
Yeah, I'm there in that. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Just drop. I'll drop my number, WhatsApp number there.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Satish.
Yeah. Thank you. Fine, guys. So I think it was a very good discussion. Time spent today. If you have any more such questions, just drop a message to the same group. We can discuss. And as I said, there's going to be an engineering session starting from this Tuesday. If you are interested, drop me a note. I'll drop a note on the group as well. Yeah. I'll stop this recording, and guys who have joined late, you can also listen to this recording later. It will be shared in the WhatsApp group or to your Gmail IDs. Okay. Thanks a lot for your time, being Sunday, taking your time out. Thanks a lot, and all the best, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Satish.
Thank you, Satish. Bye bye.